Hi, everyone. My name is Wrigley Hunt. Um, I'm going to be presenting Balancing Free Speech and Advertising Regulation. Um, it will basically analyze how the courts balanced First Amendment rights with advertising regulations using the Central Hudson Test. I've kind of focused on how the Central Hudson Test is used to determine whether commercial speech is constitutionally protected and how that test applies to the retail digital network case. Okay. So commercial speech. So before 1976, advertising wasn't even really considered free speech. It was pretty much viewed purely as business activity. That changed with the case Virginia State Board of Pharmacy versus Virginia Citizen Consumer Council. Basically, in that case, the Supreme Court ruled that consumers have the right to receive truthful information through advertising. So Hopkins pretty much has said that if, we want people to do the right thing, then, we have to show them the correct information. And truthful advertising helps consumers make informed decisions, make correctly informed decisions. Um, and yeah, pretty much advertising serves to help the public and not just helping companies sell a product. And so, what is the Central Hudson Test? Central Hudson Test is pretty much was created in the Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation versus the Public Service Commission. It's pretty much four questions that is asked. So it's is the speech truthful about lawful activity? Does the government have substantial interest? And then does regulation directly advance that interest? And then is it like narrowly tailored down, meaning it doesn't go too far? And then I kind of have this thing at the bottom. So, like you see, the speech must be lawful and not misleading. The statute must serve a substantial government interest. The statute must directly advance that interest, and the statute must be narrowly tailored down, like I said. So yeah, so the Central Hudson Test was really meant to strike a balance to protect free speech, but still allow the government to kind of regulate that advertising that could cause harm to consumers. So what is this case? The Retail Digital Network LLC versus Preto in 2017. This case basically challenged a California law that banned alcohol manufacturers from paying advertisements inside retail stores like bars or liquor shops. Uh, the Retail Digital Network argued that this restriction violated the violated the First Amendment right because it limited who they could sell to. Um, the decision was that the law was upheld, basically protected consumers and ensured fair competition. Uh, and yeah, the judge basically emphasized that the law didn't ban all alcoholic ads, it just paid placements that could create unfair influence. Basically, the court wanted to ensure fair competition. So some legally scholars have debated whether the Central Hudson Test gives the government too much power over advertising. Some argue that the courts should apply stricter scrutiny since the ads often provide valuable information to consumers, and limiting those advertisements could limit people's access to the truth. Um, Others think that the test flexibility is important because it allows the government to kind of step in when public safety and health is at risk. Um, so, for example, kind of ads related to alcohol and tobacco are often extra regulated. Uh, so the ongoing debate is kind of how far should the government go in protecting the public versus how much freedom should the companies have to advertise. So kind of corporate freedom versus consumer safety. So there should be a meet in the middle. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. Just to kind of wrap up, The Retail Digital Network case confirms that commercial speech is protected by the First Amendment, but that protection is not absolute. It's not, there's still some limitations to protect the consumer safety. Uh, yeah, so courts are still adapting these standards advertising um, as advertising kind of moves into the digital age. Um, and I kind of have some two questions for you guys and honestly for myself. So one, how will AI change commercial speech law? I think artificial intelligence in any sector of anything is pretty interesting because it's like how do you go from there? And then should the Central Hudson test evolve for modern media? I personally think yes. Got to move with the times, but that's just my thought. So pretty much overall, my research shows the balance between free speech and advertising regulation. It's constantly evolving, and it's one of the most important areas of the First Amendment law today. Thank you for listening.